This is a very important conversation that we are having at NDTV World with Congressman Steny Hoyer, who is representing Maryland's 5th District in U.S. Congress. Until last year, he was the second highest ranking Democrat in the House of Representatives. So thank you so much for speaking to NDTV.
I'm glad to. Thank you very much.
It's a beautiful day. We're out on a nice day here, but the election doesn't look beautiful at all, does it? It looks fairly ugly with what I seem to gather. Both candidates seem to suggest that if they don't come and they don't win, things may not be the same ever again. How do you read the situation?
Well, I think both candidates are probably right. Now, ever again, those of us on for Mrs. Harris, for Senator Harris, believe that her opponent is not worthy of being president of the United States, either by character or by rhetoric or by experience, frankly. He's had very rough experience as president of the United States, particularly as he closed and refused to leave and follow the democratic process. That many of us think he committed an insurrection and tried to overthrow the processes of a democratic government. We don't think that qualifies him to, again, have that kind of power. But it is apparently, according to the polls, a very close election. So we're on the eve of the election
yes,
here.
Indeed, yes.
We'll see what happens tomorrow. We have a somewhat different system than many other countries have, in that we have a thing called the Electoral College.
Right.
Mr. Trump did not get the majority of votes when he was elected president.
Yes.
He didn't get the majority of votes when he was defeated in his try for re-election. So we'll see what happens
This time
tomorrow.
around, yeah. What makes you, as someone who's seen American politics for decades, 5 decades, 6 decades, so closely, why do you think the election is so close, especially when your opponent is someone whom you think is not worthy of the office?
Well, I think there's been a lot of misinformation, disinformation. Frankly, from my perspective, we have an economy that the Wall Street Journal, just a couple of days ago, not a Democratic-leaning paper, as you probably know, indicated that whoever is elected president is going to inherit one of the best economies in the world, and one of the best economies we've had. 16 million jobs created in 4 years. That's historic.
Yeah.
Huge investment by the private sector, following very substantial investment by the public sector in building our economy, in helping people make sure they have health care, in making sure that Social Security is sound, and making sure that our environment is sustainable for the future. Frankly, the Congress that Joe Biden, President Biden, and Vice President Harris presided over, in effect,
Yes.
was an extraordinarily successful Congress. In juxtaposition to the least effective Congress in which I've served, and I've been in 22 Congresses.
Right.
This past year under Republican leadership. They fired their own leadership, very unstable. Their messaging to the world was not very confident. And so I think that the economy, however, prices have gone up, inflation has been too high, and people are having a tough time, and they attribute that to the Biden administration.
Yeah.
They're wrong. They're wrong because inflation rose all over the world. Why? Because the pandemic hit us, and what happened? Supply production shut down.
Yes.
So supplies were in short, and as soon as the pandemic ended, demand rose.
Yes.
And therefore, with short supply and high demand,
Prices rose up. Yeah.
prices go up. That's just, those are the way the economy works.
Indeed. But then this is something I ask you, given your decades of experience in politics, that why is there a section who feel that the economic plan of Vice President Kamala Harris in terms of presenting for her presidency doesn't seem to have been absorbed well by the voters, because that's something, and I've heard on multiple occasions of feedback where maybe the economic plan that she presented to voters didn't find the kind of resonance that she would have ideally liked to.
I think in some quarters that's true, in part because it's the Republicans have spent a lot of money demonizing the economy, but the overwhelming number of economists and Nobel Prize winners have stated that Kamala Harris's economic program is vastly better than the one that Mr. Trump offers. And in fact, they believe that the Trump plan will cause greater inflation, greater unemployment,